truth, and the life, and no man comes to God except through me. Jesus said, narrow is the gate that leads to eternal life, and few be there who find it, and broad is the road that leads to destruction. Jesus said Satan is the father of lies. Satan wants as many people to not enter the narrow gate through Jesus Christ to find eternal life as possible. So since he's the father of lies, and through his demons, he will try to influence mankind throughout human history to believe in any and every counterfeit of the existence of God, as long as it's not the one true God. Okay? Now, what is that? Well, how does that relate to, you know, Jung and the occult? Well, let's take Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, a civic organization trying to help men with their drinking problems. Well, Bill Wilson himself was an occultist. He practiced occult methodologies such as automatic writing and participating in seances much of his adult life in his own home. Bill Wilson was guided by according to his own testimony, a dead bishop from the Middle Ages. Now, biblically, we would say that that was a demon. And what did that demon tell Bill Wilson to do when he wrote 12 Steps and 12 Traditions? He told Bill Wilson to make the AA and its teachings as broad and inclusive as possible. So Bill Wilson said, you turn your life over to God as whatever you conceive him as. And what could be more as broad and as inclusive as that? But that's a lie from the pit of hell, because it stands in contradiction to the words of Jesus Christ, that the ultimate path of salvation is narrow, not broad, and it is only to be found in the creator of the universe, who has incarnated himself and is Jesus Christ. So the very message that Bill Wilson was giving in Alcoholics Anonymous, allegedly to help men with their drinking, is leading them down the merry path that is leading to eternal destruction, which is damnation.
Wait, so I have a question. I'm not sure I understood you. You're saying AA is satanic?
Yes.
Alcoholic Anonymous, right? Are we talking about the same AA?
Yes.
Okay.
Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're about to lead us into a serenity prayer?
Bill Wilson and Bob Smith, the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, were heavily involved in the occult. Don't take my word for it. I don't know if it's online, but there may be a copy online called Pass It On. And if there is, go to chapter 16. It's published by Alcoholics Anonymous. The whole chapter details his occultism.
One second. For example, studying, I'll give you an example. Studying the Kabbalah, yeah? That's called the occult.
You also have to tell my sponsors.
For example,
most people have this idea that AA is just a civic organization trying to help dry men out. No, that's not what it is. It is a cult.
No, the occult, yes, occult.
AA is a cult. It is a religion.
I understand, but I'm saying when you say that he was studying the occult and you put a negative inflection on it, just remember that the occult just includes things like tarot cards and the Kabbalah.
So what?
So the occult isn't all bad, basically.
Well, that's not what God says.
So you're telling me the Kabbalah is somehow satanic?
How is the occult under the banner of the occult in your view?
The Kabbalah is, if you're studying the Kabbalah, you are considered to be studying the occult.
Okay. What is the origin of the Kabbalah?
Judaism.
No, you mean in the Old Testament?
As far as I know, the Tree of Life and all the rest of it, yeah. So Jewish.
No. The occult is attempting to gain information and wisdom from the spirit realm, other than from God's revelation.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And what's wrong with that?
Because God condemns it.
Where in the Bible does it say that?
Let's go to the Mosaic Law, where God absolutely forbids anybody from engaging in witchcraft, sorcery, or the occult practices. In fact, he said it's an abomination. Why? Because human beings are no match for the deceptive powers of demons. As long as we humans stay under the protective umbrella of God's revelation, we will be kept free from deception.
I'll get the rain coat.
But when we step out from under that umbrella of the protection of God's revelation, we will be deceived by Satan. And we can see this clearly in the world. Okay?
And what if somebody's understanding of morality is so firm that they will not be deceived?
You're not understanding the biblical position. Human beings are no intellectual match for Satan and his demons' deceptions. If we step outside of the umbrella of protection of God's revelation. That's why in the Old Testament, I believe it was Samuel who said to Saul, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Rebellion against God-ordained authority is as the sin of witchcraft. Well, what would that mean? It means we are getting out from under God's protection and subjecting ourselves to satanic influence.
Doc, in your view, in the spirit world, is there only negative influences, or can there also be positive influences? In your view,
God tells us not to seek wisdom and truth outside of His revelation.
Darth, do you think God can reveal Himself to us? Yeah, right?
He has.
Yes, of course.
God completed that progressive revelation with the incarnation of Jesus Christ and the codification of the Bible.
So you follow solo scriptura, right?
Yeah, the Bible and the Bible alone is the ultimate and final authority.
Got it. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think people can write literature that is analogous to the Bible to get people to come to the Bible?
I think that is a mistake of well-intentioned people.
Right.
And I think what it then does is it may be well-intentioned. Let's take, for example, C.S. Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia.
Correct.
Well, then, if Aslan is a metaphor, why can't Jesus be a metaphor? Look, have you ever heard of Veggie Tales?
I have, yes.
Okay. That makes me want to vomit.
No, I know.
Do you know why? Is because they do a parody of biblical events and characters. And when children grow up, when they start to become teenagers, and they start to face the temptations and the lure of the world, they can just sit there and say, "Oh, that Bible's just just cartoons like Veggie Tales."
It's not.
Well, but you see, that's the mistake that these parents do. They think, "Oh yes, rather than just give them the worldly cartoons, I'm going to give them Christian cartoons," which is the height of stupidity. Because it will ultimately be counterproductive as the child grows older. Because when the child faces temptations and wants to give in to those temptations, well, after all, Christianity is just a fairy tale, just like Veggie Tales.
I see now.
I don't think we should be making parodies, even well-intentioned parodies, of the Christian worldview.
As it dissuades people from the truth, correct?
Yeah, I think it's dangerous. I think it's spiritually dangerous.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just like if somebody says, "Oh, well, I'm a Bible-believing Christian, but I interpret Genesis chapter 1 as figurative." You do that, you destroy the whole Bible.
Right.
There's a whole Christian ministry that is dedicated to that called Answers in Genesis. Reject the literal Genesis, you don't have a basis for anything. Why do you think it was several generations ago, theologically in Europe, when they began to abandon a literal Genesis in favor of evolution, that it wasn't long after that those theologians who did so, they abandoned the idea of a literal Adam and Eve, of a fall of man. And then that leads to, well, Jesus really didn't rise again from the dead. This is just a metaphor. Let's take, for example, people like, you ever heard of Dietrich Bonhoeffer?
No, I haven't. I'm not.
He's a German theologian, a brilliant German theologian, who wrote about, you know, the Christian life, and he was executed by the Nazis for allegedly being a part of the plot to kill Hitler. And over here in the United States and in the West, a lot of Christians are duped into thinking that this guy was a Christian. He's not. He would use Christian terminology and concepts, but they were devoid of what it actually meant in the Bible. So that's the problem in doing parodies or metaphors of scriptural themes.
Right.
The only thing I can think of that I probably I would have to take another look at is maybe Pilgrim's Progress, which is a metaphor of the Christian life.
Pilgrim's Progress sounds familiar. What was that?
It was a metaphor for the Christian life, and the character's name in it was what was his name? Was it? I think John Bunyan wrote it. It's been a long time ago that I was familiar with it. I'm just saying that people make a mistake when they do parodies of the Christian worldview, even if they're well-meaning. It's a mistake.